So what is the difference between climate change and climate variability? They are different, and it's important to note about that. So climate change, we're talking about this long-term change in not only meteorological but also environmental conditions that alter here the average weather patterns due to natural or human causes or both. What I always like to, we always hear a lot of different analogies, the difference between climate and weather. Weather is your mood, but climate's your personality. That's one of my favorites. I also like to think of it this way: with weather and climate, if I was going to offer you a bet and say that I can guarantee next January, what's today's date, March 2nd, next March 2nd will be warmer than this March 2nd, that's probably a bet you might want to take, because I have no knowledge of what the weather is going to be like on March 2nd a year from now. But if I told you a bet that I bet you that July 2nd will be warmer than March 2nd, in a lot of places in the United States, will you be like, oh, I'll take that bet, or I won't take that bet because I know that July is the summertime and it's warmer. The reason why you know that is because of the climate. You understand that the changes in your individual climate, individual location, that summer is warmer than the beginning of March. So it's important to note. And climate change, what climate change is doing is it's basically changing the underlying picture of what weather happens on top of. It's basically creating a new standing point. It's like adding a filter to a photo, so to speak. It's changing what the baseline for how we look at what potential weather events can occur. Now, climate variability, on the other hand, we're talking about things that alter the average weather patterns due to natural causes on relatively short to medium time scales. This here says week to years. And there's a variety of different things that happen just kind of naturally in our amazing climate system that can lead to big changes on monthly time scales, for instance, or weekly time scales. And these are things that we use at the Climate Prediction Center to issue those forecasts. When we issue our winter outlook, which is a very popular product, when we issue that outlook, we're looking not only at climate change, which is the underlying trend in what's happening in our temperatures and our precipitation, but we're also really looking at climate variability, what we expect certain climate features, natural climate features, to do over the span of the next month, over the next 3 months, because that can have a very large impact on what's going to happen this year in a certain winter season, for instance. So in summary, characterization of the climate, we have average conditions for a specific time of year. The spatial scale being described, we have local, regional, global. I'll get into that a little bit too, especially with climate variability, because a lot of what we're going to be talking about with climate variability is these features that are operating on just immense scales across the globe that can have impacts really locally. So it's a tough thing to look at from a global scale down to a local. And then also the temporal scale, which is basically just looking at the time scale, the period of interest compared to some baseline period. So you're looking at somewhat of the timing of how these things operate.